There we are. Just making sure everybody's there. Okay, cool. Welcome to our Q&A. This we do every Tuesday at noon Central here on our YouTube channel. So welcome. My name is Jessie. I'm with Decker Truckline and one of the recruiters here. So that's actually what we're going to be talking about here today, is more on recruiting. So if you're wondering about the recruiting process, what orientation involves, if you qualify, what the qualifications are, all that kind of stuff, then we'll go ahead and just dive right into it. Hey Ken, good to see ya. Hope all is going well. So yeah, that's what we'll talk about. As always, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat and then we'll answer them as they come in. We'll try and kind of stay on topic, but you know how I am, so it may veer off. In the meantime, let me get you over to some of the pictures that have come in this week so that we can share those as well. And also, I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but I was pretty excited for what I received. Yeah! Just got that in the mail yesterday. Super excited. Actually, I'm not sure if I'm more excited about this or the decal for my truck or my car, because I wanted to show it off. Anyways, proud of my company. Decker proud, right? So, that I don't know. How's everything going, Ken? I'll have to do some checking for you. You can't hear me? Ken, can you hear me? As far as I know, I'm working. Or people can hear me. Where's, says the audio's working. It shows me that the audio's working, Anna. Yeah? No? I've got the up and down with the audio. Okay, I'm just going to keep going unless somebody else tells me. Ken, if you can't hear me, you let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to assume you can. Okay. All right. He can hear me. All right, so that's what we'll be talking about, is the recruiting. What that takes, what it takes to qualify for Decker, what the process is, because we have definitely coming into a few changes here in our orientation process, so we kind of want to share that, make sure you're up to date. And as always, for all of our current Decker drivers, we do have a referral bonus, so remember to take advantage of that if you are getting some questions about the company and they want a little bit more detail. Then awesome, here's the number, 888-668-0698. Give them that telephone number. Make sure that they give us your name so that we can give you credit where credit is due, or take out your tablet or your phone and give us, fill out that TransFlow app for the referral as well. And that way, again, you'll get credit for that. $1,500 is the minimum per driver that is referred. So it goes up to $2,500 depending on how many people you've referred within the year, which, by the way, you can look at that on our Drive Decker page, drivedecker.com/driver-referral. So Shameless says it's working. Awesome. We're golden. So game on. Game on, game on. Yeah. So first off, let's talk about the qualifying process. If you want to apply for the position, you can always apply at drivedecker.com. This one right here, looks like I've got part of the .com covered up, but drivedecker.com, and you can do the application. It's in the upper right hand corner. But best thing to do is to give us a call on the 888 number. That way we can kind of go through some of the qualifying questions for you right out of the gate, make sure that you're going to be a good fit, make sure that the positions that you're looking for are what you are looking for, and that we have those. So that's the best way to start. Ask away, Ken. Let's hear what you got. Or I can give you a call later too, whatever's easier for you. So there we go. Qualifying questions. Let's talk about 9 months is the minimum requirement for starting with us. 9 months of tractor trailer experience. Now, if you're looking for flatbed, we require that you have 9 months of flatbed experience. If you're looking for refrigerated, it doesn't necessarily have to be refrigerated. It just needs to be tractor trailer. A little bit different between flatbed and some of the other divisions that we have available. Current positions that we have right now, we have refrigerated, we have flatbed, we have van divisions. And it is a variety of different options depending on where you live. Some locations we may just have the one option out of your area. Other locations, we might have all three options with different home time availabilities. It really depends on where you live. That's why I can't tell you enough. If you want to know what's available out of your area, give us your zip code, give us your city and state, and that way we can take a look at it and tell you for sure if it's going to work. All right, so best thing to do, give us a call, 888-668-0698. Ken is asking about leasing a truck to Decker. So when you're leasing on to Decker, you're an owner-operator and looking to lease on, the truck has to be 10 years or newer. Breaking things under my feet here. It needs to be 10 years or newer, and obviously well maintained, because it is, looking at the trucks that we've got, you can tell that we definitely have newer models. So we want a well maintained truck that's 10 years or newer. It needs to be able to, we need to be able to wire the ELDs to it, which would be the geotab unit. So that's another thing that you want to consider as a lease or an owner operator, I mean. Cool. For lease and owner operators in the flatbed division, it's 72% of the load plus the fuel surcharge. So 72% of the load plus the fuel surcharge. Cool. All right, so we've got that. Qualifying, 9 months of experience, no major moving violations within the last 3 years. Remember, for the most part, everything is looked at within the last 3 years. So no major moving violations, and that's going to include 15 over tickets. It's going to include following too close, or erratic lane change, erratic lane change, or reckless, careless, DUIs, DWIs. Now, however, if it was a DUI or DWI in a commercial vehicle, that has to be at least 5 years old. So the exception is if it's 5 years old. Or the exception is if it's in a commercial vehicle, then it has to be 5 years old. Accidents, major moving violations along with DOT recordable accidents have to be 3 years old. So if it was a preventable DOT recordable, obviously if they were at fault, then it doesn't count against you or anything. It just has to be documented on your application itself. So Ken, a 2016 Western Star would be fine as long as the Western Star can haul the freight. So what's your weight limit? Because that's the biggest deal that I've noticed is Western Stars usually run a little bit heavy, and we want to make sure that we can deal with that. Hey Amy, Amy's on. I hope everything's going well. Did you already have your appointment this morning? Or was that this afternoon? Amy's shoulders healing up. We're hoping. Get some work on it. So those are the qualifications. Now for accidents, if you've had some minor accidents that weren't DOT recordable, by the way, DOT recordable is going to be explained by if somebody was towed, if there was an injury or a fatality, or the bill itself was so astronomical or such a high value that the insurance claimed it as DOT recordable. Those are all things that basically deem it DOT recordable. If you're ticketed, that can also have a factor on it. Okay, but not necessarily. If you were ticketed, it doesn't necessarily mean it was DOT recordable. But if you were towed or fatality or injury, then yes, most definitely it does. It doesn't mean fault though. So we have a couple of reports that we run. We do a very thorough background. We have the PSP report, which is basically accumulation of your CSA points and inspections that you've had. And then of course we've got your MVR, your work history background, which some companies don't register to the IQ, which is a system we use. Some do Higher Right, some do Assurant and IQ. There's a variety of ones out there. If we don't get it on the report, then we contact your company directly to get the employment verification. And that's within the last 3 years, because we are required to have those within the last 3 years. Once we obtain them, or if we don't obtain them, let me go one more step further. If we don't obtain those, we do need to get some sort of verification that you were there. If it's on the PSP report, like you had an inspection, that definitely helps. It helps with some of their contact information. Pay stubs, W-2s, that also helps with the verification process. But ideally, we are able to contact them and get that verification from them. So that's the first step. Verifying everything within the last 3 years. That's definitely what we need to do. We're looking for a 10-year work history on your application. It doesn't obviously need to be all driving because we only require the 9 months of tractor trailer experience, but we do need to have the full 10-year work history, even if you were in high school back then, as long as you meet the requirements, 21 years of age, no major moving violations in the last 3 years, no DOT recordable preventable accidents in the last 3 years, etc. The other exceptions that we can work with accidents or incidents, however you, because I know everybody calls them a little bit different, but accident incident basically is saying that you are not, like it wasn't a major violation or a major accident. If you clipped a mirror while making a turn, if you drove on the sidewalk, I know sometimes people get written up or ticketed or even listed as an incident or accident on their IQ reports or on the employment verifications for running over a curb or somebody's landscaping when you're turning into a shipper or receiver. Another option or another thing that I see is backing incidents, whether you're backing in a parking lot, which you're not going to be ticketed for, but you'll still have an accident on your record. So if you're backing into a dock, really any of those type of scenarios, those are going to be minor accidents. And with minor accidents, we can work with as many as 2 in the last 12 months. Again, they must be very minor, or 3 max within the last 3 years. So those are doable. Same with the minor tickets. If you had 2 speeding tickets within the last 3 years, we can work with them if they're under, if they're 10 or 5 over. If they're 15 over, they have to be at least 3 years old. Same with some of the other minor tickets, but driving without a commercial license is considered a major moving violation. 15 over, improper or erratic lane change, those are all major moving violations in our eyes. Amy says, in Missoula, having a little lunch. Oh, she's having her Panera bread. Appointment was good. You did have it this morning. Back on January 5th to talk surgery. Ooh. So in our thoughts for that. It's my mom's birthday. 21 years of age, Anna says, and must possess a valid Class A CDL. Another thing that I want to mention is if you are new to the States, you do need to have a U.S. driver's license for at least 3 years in order to qualify for the position as well. So great comment on that one. We do orientation, just kind of reading the comments here. Yes, we do orientation on Mondays, and it's basically a week long. We are starting to integrate the Luma system, which is an online training system with what we call e-nuggets. So little bit-sized or bite-sized information packets, a short little video, followed by a series of 2 to 3 questions is really what I've seen from Max so far. We're integrating more and more of that. So that'll go over a lot of our company policies, procedures, and of course some of the safety things that are going on here at Decker, some of our safety programs. Other than that, when you come to orientation, like I said, it starts on Monday. So whether we're getting you a rental car or we're getting you a flight or you're driving on your own, because transportation is provided, you'll have a hotel. We'll have a hotel room set up for you. It is a private room. You're not, we're not rooming you up with anybody. So, and we are trying to stay as compliant as possible with the COVID guidelines. So the 6 feet apart, the social distancing, we've got masks for you. Please bring one if you don't. Washing hands, just the regular procedures in order to keep you guys safe. If you are at all not feeling well, please hold off on coming to orientation until you do feel better. That's a good thing for you and a good thing for everybody else. We don't want to spread that kind of love, okay? So let's stay healthy, and if you aren't quite feeling there yet. Ken says, does running over a deer count as an accident? That would be an accident that usually needs to be identified on your application, but it would be a non-preventable accident. Yep, unless you're rodding through the fields chasing one. But no, yeah, it is a non-preventable accident, and it just has to be documented. It only has to be documented because the insurance usually is notified if you're hitting a deer and you need repairs done on a vehicle, whether it's like a commercial vehicle or a personal vehicle, and the same for on your MVR. If you called the state, which odds are you did, or you called the highway patrol when you hit a deer and they help clean it up, then that's why it has to be undocumented. But a company will most likely have that documented on your application, or on your verification, but stating that it was non-preventable. So the LUMA training, like I said, is just little bite-sized training. We like you to have that done before you come into orientation on Monday, so have it done the weekend before. We'll be emailing that out to all of our applicants who have been approved and who are coming to orientation, who are scheduled for that next week. So say anybody, I'm going to use the 28th because obviously we've got the holidays coming up, but anybody coming in on the 28th of December for orientation, you're going to be receiving an email from us by Friday of the week prior to orientation with the login information to LUMA, and that'll give you access to those few questionnaires, videos and questionnaires that you'll be taking. It makes the process go a little faster. That means that once you've completed the rest of orientation, we can get you dispatched out and making a little bit of money sooner rather than later. Orientation starts with, like I said, Monday. If you're not counting what you're doing before coming to orientation, it starts Monday morning. Have you ready down in the lobby right at around 7:45 Monday morning. You'll go through both the PCE and the physical. So PCE is like range of motion and resistance, just a basic test, physical test. It is a machine, it's not actual weights. I know some of you have asked that before. It's not actual weights that you'll be lifting. The physical, of course, you'll have the physical, the DOT physical, followed by the hair follicle and the urinalysis. So our drug and alcohol testing as well. You'll have the driving test usually on Tuesday. Meet your driver manager on Wednesday or Thursday, probably on Wednesday. Get into your truck, and then you're usually dispatched out either Thursday or Friday. So ideally Thursday with this new system that we'll be doing, since we're integrating some of that online orientation, getting you dispatched out just a little bit sooner, a little bit earlier before the weekend hits. Didn't do any damage, you said, but she smacked the side of my trailer. Yeah, odds are they'll have that documented on the verification, but like I said, it won't be counted against you. It's just, it does have to be documented so that, oh yeah, they were in an accident. They have to say preventable, non-preventable, just because insurance was most likely called on that. Well, possibly not, depending on how much damage if they didn't do the damage, then it might not even be documented. Always a good idea to put it on the application just in case, because you know what? You just never know what the company will consider or not. Anna says, true, applicants should be prepared to go under dispatch at the completion of orientation. We will make every effort to get you through home within the first couple of dispatches. Very true. We do try and get you through the house as soon as possible. Obviously, coming out of Fort Dodge, Iowa, we don't have, the load won't necessarily go directly to your house, although it very well could be going directly through your location. But odds are it'll be one of the first dispatches in order to get you that way so that you can get the rest of your stuff. We definitely recognize you can't bring everything with you to orientation. However, since we do rental cars a large majority of the time, it's pretty common to have a lot of your stuff, especially since our trucks are extremely well equipped. I mean, our trucks have APUs and inverters. They have refrigerators, bunk heaters, CB units. Yes, CB units. They have navigation. They have Sirius radio. All the equipment's there. You'll have to set up the account if you don't already have an account with Sirius radio. However, we have TVs and Epic View satellite television, so satellite programming. It's 100+ channels that's company paid, so we take care of that. We have microwaves, roomy trucks. They've got air ride, of course. We do have the smart drive system in the trucks, which is a safety feature. It has just lots of safety features as part of that smart drive. It includes the inward and outward facing event recorders or cameras. We have the lane departure gauge. We have the following gauge, the speed gauge on there as well. So like I said, that smart drive system has a lot of little gadgets that are connected to it that'll keep you safe. Yeah, so we have, of course, the pre-pass, easy pass, K-pass. Along with that, I think if I didn't already say bunk heater, that's part of it as well. Speaking of bunk heater, we just released a new video on one of the newer bunk heaters that we have and APU unit. on troubleshooting them. So if you are having any issues, please check out our YouTube channel. Make sure that you're subscribing to the channel so that if we do have a troubleshooting video or something that comes out, even new positions that come out, you'll be well aware of it. They'll be right there on there for us. So anyways, that's all there. Trying to think of what else are in the trucks. They are very well equipped. And we've got a couple of videos, speaking of YouTube videos, we do have a couple of videos on our channel that'll give you a great inside look at what's in the truck itself so that you can see that all the different amenities that are there. Anna says, P.S. If you have any questions regarding the bonus program, contact your fleet manager, Darren or Jason. So fleet manager, Darren, Jason, Gerard, all of them, they can help out with the details of the bonus program. Also, we have a podcast that goes through a lot of those details, not only on the bonus program, but on our guaranteed pay, which let me dive into that for you as well and talk about our guaranteed pay programs. Not only do we have a guaranteed pay program, but we also have a minimum pay. So it doesn't, there's a little bit of difference there. Most of it just depends on where you live. And I can't stress that enough because I think a lot of people overlook that your location can make a difference in the available positions. So if you live in a strong freight area for us, we can pay a little bit more based off of that freight that's there, and getting you home is usually we have more options. So as an example, if you live in the Midwest, anywhere from Omaha to Chicago along I-80, or if you live from Albert Lea to Chicago on I-90 or Minneapolis area, we have a weekly home time in the refrigerated division that can get you not only home weekly, but it'll make you $1,250 per week, so $1,250 a week. These amounts that I'm giving you, just as a disclaimer, these are gross amounts. If I gave you net, they'd be all over the board because everybody claims a little bit different. We've got great benefits. We've got insurance, Blue Cross Blue Shield. We've got insurances like the short-term and the long-term disability, and additional life insurances that you can get in addition to what we cover for you. The 401k is a 30% match of up to 8% of your contributions, or you can contribute up to 8% of your earnings is what I should say, for more detail. But anyways, there's so many factors that I really can't give you a net amount, but we can sure kind of hone in on it if you have questions and you need to bring like a certain number home each week. If you talk to one of us here in the recruiting department, again, 888-668-0698, we can do a better job of honing in on, okay, so if you make this much, this is going to get you to about this dollar amount each week. If this is your goal, we can hit that. Anyways, for that amount, besides that, we're going to talk about gross amounts because that's just a little bit easier to figure. So $1,250 a week is the gross, and that's the guaranteed pay for the Midwest Refrigerated Division, getting home on a weekly basis and running those routes. Here's a couple of things you need to know about that guaranteed pay division. First off, those loads are shorter than our other Midwest Refrigerated Division. It's most definitely shorter at like twice or even a third of what the over-the-road division out of Missoula is running. Missoula is running 1,100 plus on an average length of haul. The Midwest division is running, 500 to 600 for an average length of haul. But with the guaranteed pay of $1,250 a week, you're running 4 to 6 is probably the average on that. So yeah, you are running more runs in order to get that. But that $1,250 each and every week, coming home usually on a Friday night or a Saturday morning, and then leaving back out on a Sunday night or a Monday morning, and being available for that. Now with the guaranteed pay, a couple of requirements for that is you have to be available for dispatch at least 5 days out of the week. You need, so no load refusals, no claims, they have no late loads, they'll have on-time delivery, no violations, like CSA violations or preventable accidents for the week. And again, this is a week-by-week basis because we pay every Friday direct deposit. So say for the week previous you had a CSA violation. That's not going to count against you for the next week, but it would defer you back, to the pay per mile instead of the guarantee of $12.50 a week. Now, just because you're getting the pay per mile doesn't mean that you will be making less, because you could revert forward to the pay per mile as well. So if your pay per mile, which is based off of your experience, goes up to 50 cents a mile to start within the Midwest division, but if your pay per mile and the miles that you ran that week exceed the $12.50, then you're going to get the better of the two. Plus, we have additional bonuses, and we'll talk about some of those as well. But those are a lot of, there's quite a bit of opportunity to make additional income. With the scorecard bonus and, mostly just the scorecard bonus, the Midwest Refrigerated division, it's a little harder to get it because of the mileage, although you can exceed the mileage in the $12.50 a week and make more on the week-by-week basis. So, but again, if you have any questions and you need more specifics on it, please just reach out to the recruiting department at 888-668-0698. So those are the requirements for the Midwest Refrigerated. The Midwest Flatbed, again, depending on where you're located at, you could be part of a guaranteed pay program. Now, I've got a couple of different locations or sets of locations that are really strong with freight that allow us additional pay, not per mile, but pay guaranteed each week. So the first area is from Mason City, Iowa to Fort Dodge, Iowa, up to Chicago to Milwaukee, and then back down to Mason City. So if you're taking that route or along that route within 25 miles of it itself, then we can get you home not only on a weekly basis, but we can also guarantee you $14.50 per week. So that's $1,450 per week. Now the pay per mile goes up to 54 cents a mile on the pay per mile. And that's, again, if you didn't meet the requirements for the guaranteed pay, or if you exceeded the miles on what it would take at your rate of pay to get that $14.50 a week. So you can get the better of the two. So again, $14.50 a week, coming home on like a Friday night or Saturday morning, leaving back out Sunday night or Monday morning, usually for an early Monday morning delivery. That's for the Midwest Flatbed of $14.50. That's not the only area that we offer that in, though. If you live from Iowa City to St. Louis, over to Columbus, Ohio, up north to Toledo, Ohio, and then back over across from Chicago and back to the Iowa City area, anywhere along that route or within that route can not only get you home on a weekly basis, same type of home time, but also guarantee you that $14.50 a week. So yet another opportunity to run that. Now those running lanes, the ones with the Mason City and Fort Dodge, Milwaukee, Chicago, and the one that I just named off from Iowa City to St. Louis to Columbus to Toledo and Chicago and everywhere in between, both of those locations are going to be running a more confined area than our Midwest Refrigerated that guarantees or that has a minimum pay, same type of mentality there though, a minimum pay of $1,000. This one, they're shorter runs. So you are going to get shorter runs in this Midwest Flatbed division, but that still means that you're going to have some consistent miles, and you're definitely going to have that consistent pay each week. And that's why we set it up, because you are going to run shorter miles for that. It's just a given the way that those routes run, but they're in heavy freight areas, and that's why we're able to do that $14.50 each week. Now, with that being said, we also have our Midwest Flatbed out of the Chicago area. Now, if you live within the Chicago area, and I mean like within 50 miles, maybe in some locations, maybe a little bit more, you'll be running a lot of Chicago. That one can get you home on a daily basis for the most part. There are a few exceptions. I need to make sure I've got my disclaimer here. There are a few exceptions that it could be 3 or 4 times a week instead of home every single night. But if you're within that 50-mile radius of Chicago, you're probably looking at a home nightly option. And that guarantees you $1,700 per week. So again, best thing to do is to talk to a recruiter, make sure that you're in the location based off of zip codes and freight that we can get you home in that allotted time frame with that amount of money. So again, 888-668-0698, just to make sure that we're all on the same page. We've got a good understanding of your expectations as well as our expectations. So, Risky Red, hello. Well, Late's better than never. You know what I like to see? Did you get this yet? Side note, before I keep talking about the different positions, we're talking about recruiting, but Howard hopped on Risky Red, and here, I thought this was hilarious. Here we have Risky Red for December of this year. Did anybody else notice this? I thought this was awesome. And look who's going to be December of 2021. That's not December of 21. That's November. There you go. There. Look at that. It's Risky Red again. Anyways, I thought that was cool. Okay. Anyways, that's our Midwest flatbed. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't hire for our Midwest flatbed in other areas. We do. But in those areas, you're going to have longer lengths of haul. We're getting you home, in the most part, on a weekly basis. Some can be every 2 weeks. But again, please call the recruiting department just to be safe. And making sure that you're getting the accurate information and that no assumptions are being made and everything like that. So in the Midwest Refrigerated and the Midwest Flatbed, if you're not in one of those areas that I had already named, then we can guarantee you $1,000 a week. That being said, your pay per mile and the amount of miles that you're running is most likely going to exceed that rate of that guaranteed of $1,000. It just depends on the running lanes that you have. Also in that division, you're probably going to be running more miles in both the Midwest Refrigerated and Midwest Flatbed, and that guarantees the $1,000 a week. So you're more likely to get that scorecard bonus, which is an extra 5 cents a mile. Being in the guaranteed paid divisions that I mentioned, the $1,250 or the $1,450 or even the $1,700, those are harder to obtain the scorecard bonus, because part of the bonus, one of the factors, is miles. And so that's obviously going to throw it off a little bit in order to get that perfect score of 1,000 points, which is most definitely doable, especially in our over-the-road and more Midwest, larger regional areas. So talking about over-the-road, in our over-the-road refrigerated division based out of Missoula, Montana, that one pays up to 48 cents a mile, again, based off of your experience. So it just depends on how much experience you have. And in most areas, then... Howard, you're in Idaho right now? That surprises me. He's in our Midwest division, so usually sticks within the Midwest there for us. So in our over-the-road refrigerated division out of Missoula, Montana, most of those areas are getting home every 2 to 3 weeks. 14 to 17 days. Some of them are staying out to 21 days. And it just depends really on where you're located. So again, can't stress it enough. Please contact the recruiting department to make sure that the information you have is accurate. But that being said, once we determine your home time based off of obviously where you live, then make sure that's a good fit for you. We figure for every 7 days you're out, it's a day and a half home time. So if you're out, 2 weeks at a time, you're looking at 3 days home. Now the key to this is, because we have that minimum guarantee of $1,000 a week, you want to make sure that you're available at least 5 days out of the week. So straddle that home time, and I always say this, but straddle that home time around the cutoff for that week, which the cutoff for your paperwork has to be in by Sunday night. And that's one of the qualifications, by the way, for both the guaranteed pay and the minimum pay requirements. And that is, make sure that you get your paperwork in. You've got the TransFlow app on your phone, you've got the TransFlow app on the tablet or the GeoTab unit, plus we have the onboard scanners in the truck for those who don't have that GeoTab unit yet. So that it is available to you, so that you don't have to worry about getting the paperwork in, and it'll give you the confirmation and everything, so much easier. The nice thing about the GeoTab unit and the TransFlow, as a side note, is that the actual picture that payroll will be receiving, you see. Like when you scan your documents through on the little onboard scanner, you'll get a confirmation number, but we don't know, like as a driver, you won't know for sure what the payroll will see and if it came out clearly. Whereas with the TransFlow or the GeoTab app, you do, because you see what they see. So, Howard says, if they have the miles, I will take them regardless local. So hence going to Burley and Napa. Yes, that's right. Anna says the TransFlow app has partnered with the GeoTab, which we have been basically transitioning from Omnitrax, the ELD with Omnitrax navigation and Qualcomm, to the GeoTab TransFlow unit in the truck. So we're not done transitioning. We still have several trucks out there that need to be updated, but we're getting them down about 20 to 30 a week, depending on the rest of the workflow. All right, so let's see what we were talking about. Over-the-road refrigerated, and the qualifications are going to be the same for our over-the-road refrigerated. The only difference in the qualifications is flatbed versus van or refrigerated. Flatbed requires that the experience has to be, at least 9 months of the experience has to be flatbed. So, all right, got that out of there. There are certain areas within the western part of the U.S. that we can get you home a little more weekly. And I use that weekly term vaguely, only because you're looking at about 7 days out at a time versus the 2 to 3 weeks. So, and I mean, I'm not getting you home on the weekends necessarily. You know, you're running 7 to 10 days at a time and then taking a day and a half to 2 days home versus getting home on a Friday or Saturday like we can in the Midwest. Longer lengths of haul, like I said, out in Midwest. Even with the ones that we keep you more regional, where you're handing off some of those loads, it's still 7 to 10 days out. Now, one of the divisions, or a couple of the divisions that I didn't mention yet in the Midwest, is our Midwest van division. If you live in the Chicago area, or really anywhere from Lincoln, Nebraska to Gary, Indiana along I-80, really that's going to be the strongest. So if you live along that route, we can get you home on a weekly basis in the van division, which pays up to 50 cents a mile to start, again, based off experience. And it does have a guarantee of $1,000 a week, but coming home on a weekly basis. However, we also have van in the Southeast. If you're looking, if you live in the Anderson, South Carolina area, or Athens, Hartwell, or Atlanta, Georgia. So if you live in any of those areas, then we can get you home. You're probably looking about 2 weeks out in the Southeast for that van, instead of the weekly home time that we can offer for van in the Midwest. But again, it just depends on where you live. Give us a call. Let's make sure that we can help you for what you're looking for. And again, it's 888-668-0698. Michael says, what's the starting cents per mile for refrigerated or flatbed? Like I said, it all depends on the position that you're looking for. For the Midwest van, for the Midwest refrigerated, it's anywhere from 45 to 50 cents a mile to start, based off experience. For the flatbed, anywhere from 47 to 54 cents a mile to start. And for our over-the-road refrigerated, anywhere from 43 to 48 cents a mile to start. 10 cents of that is per diem. So 10 cents a mile is per diem, and that's already included in those amounts that I've given you. But remember, in all of those cases, at the very minimum of $1,000 a week. Now with the short haul position, the Midwest short haul position, that's really Fort Dodge. It's flatbed, by the way. If you're living in Fort Dodge, or if you're living in Omaha or Sioux Falls, or Sioux City, then we can get you home multiple times throughout the week. There are a few other locations. So like I said, if you live in the Iowa area, you're looking for more home time, maybe weekly's not quite enough, then call us, because we do have some flatbed opportunities that can get you home multiple times a week. In some cases, home daily, but in most cases, home 3 or 4 times a week, as well as on the weekends. Again, that one pays $1,000 a week. 888-668-0698. This telephone number right there is going to get you a recruiter who can answer all the questions just for you, just designed for you, instead of being, covering everything like I am now. Now for the Southeast, we talked a little bit about the flatbed, we talked a little bit about the van, but we also have the Southeast refrigerated. Southeast refrigerated is going to get you home on a weekly basis. But that being said, it is our Southeastern refrigerated. I know that some of these names are more for our benefit than necessarily yours, so I want to make sure that I'm pretty clear on this. With the Southeast refrigerated, you're still running the Midwest as well as the Southeast, because of the freight lanes. And you could be coming up, you could be grabbing a load and coming right back down, or you could be coming up to the Midwest, taking a load, maybe another short run, and then headed back to the Southeast. It all depends on where you live. So if you live like Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi, north over to, we've got Alabama, Birmingham area, Bessemer, of course, over to Atlanta, over to up to Chattanooga, Tennessee, over to Memphis, Tennessee, Nashville, Memphis, and then back down to Jackson, Mississippi. Anywhere in that area, that little, not circle, but area, that can get you home on a weekly basis. But remember, even though it is our considered our Southeast refrigerated, it's still running Midwest. You're home on a weekly basis, which means you're probably coming home on like a Saturday or Sunday, staying Saturday or Sunday, Monday, or Monday, Tuesday. Just depends on when you're getting home. But the majority of it is going to be in the Southeast. You might have 2-3 days in the Midwest on a weekly basis, but just a little bit of both. It's a mixture of both is what I'm getting at. So I just don't want you to think it's only the Southeast, because that it isn't. Howard says, Risky Red said, yep, I still have the old brick Omnitrax. Still for right now, while we work out the kinks and everything else. That's good. That'll be all right. We'll get you. Slowly but surely. So yeah, for the Southeast flat or Southeastern refrigerated, if you guys have any questions, just let me know. I do want to make sure that you are also aware of whether you're in the Southeast refrigerated or the over-the-road flatbed that's based out of Bessemer, Alabama, or in the over-the-road refrigerated out of Missoula, Montana, or in any of our Midwestern divisions. Orientation itself is all in Fort Dodge. So we're either looking at rental cars for you, or we're looking at flights. Unless you're close within the Fort Dodge area and you just plan on driving yourself, that's fine. But we're looking at transportation for you. Also, with that in mind, we do have a repayment agreement that you'll be taking a look at when you come into orientation. And it's really just recognizing that, you know what, Decker put this much of an investment in you already. We just want you to acknowledge, if you were to leave us within the first 6 months, you could be responsible for a portion of that amount. But if every month that you're here, we knock $100 off at 6 months, it's gone. Just want to make sure that you're aware of it so that when you come into orientation, no surprises. Speaking of orientation, you do have the driving test. I don't remember if I mentioned that before. Meeting your driver manager. Did I miss anything for orientation? Besides the pay, we do pay $1,000 for orientation. And we split that, so you don't have to wait a week for that $1,000. You'll get your first $500 on a com check, so you can go cash that sucker right away, have some money in hand when you're dispatched out, which ideally will be Thursday. Like I said, we have both the hair follicle and the urinalysis for the drug and alcohol testing. What else? Anything else we could think of? There is a chance that you'd have to go to one of the other terminals in order to pick up the truck once you've completed orientation. So it all just depends on where that truck is. But Howard says, so that means I'm debt-free from Decker. Dang rights. Now, you could be picking up the truck out of Missoula. You could be picking up in Bessemer, Alabama. Most likely you'll be picking up the truck right there in Fort Dodge coming out of orientation. But there is obviously that chance. And if you do need to pick it up elsewhere, we'll pay mileage pay in order to accommodate you for that. So no worries that way, all right? The Southern Flatbed, we didn't talk about that. Our over-the-road flatbed division, which is our Southern division, it runs coast to coast. In some states, you're going to be running a more confined area, possibly by choice, than you are in some of the others. If you live in the northern part of Alabama or northern part of Georgia, we can get you home on a weekly basis. Same with the western part of North Carolina. We can get you home on a weekly basis. And you're running mostly southeast, some into the Midwest, but most of it's going to be the southeast. Kind of similar to our southeastern refrigerated, where you might have a load or two in the Midwest and then come back down. The only difference with the flatbed, the runs into the Midwest, they could be into PA, they could be, into Pennsylvania area or Ohio, where most of the runs most of the runs for the refrigerator are going to be around Indiana, Illinois, Iowa. Although not only those areas, but that most of the Midwest runs are into there. Sometimes Ohio, sometimes Kansas City area, but most of them are in the other areas. Let's see. Anna says we guarantee that, yep, $1,000 for orientation. Yep, every month, $100 disappears if we take it off. I like it. So our over-the-road flatbed division, based out of Bessemer, Alabama, does have weekly home time options, and of course, depending on where you live. If you live in Texas or Oklahoma, which are great locations for our flatbed division, you're still looking at home every other weekend. Every once in a while, we'll have options that'll get you home on a weekly basis, but currently, with the available positions, you're looking at every other weekend. But for other options out of the Bessemer terminal, we do have a local position that's currently available. It does require that you have a year of flatbed experience. It also requires that the experience that you have is with coils. Sheetrock, coils, steel beams, those are all things that you'll be dealing with, but coils is definitely something that we want to make sure you're comfortable with and have had experience with. It pays per hour. It's a Monday through Friday position, $17 an hour, and then maybe sometimes a Saturday here and there, but most likely just Monday through Friday, starting at 7 a.m. So that's our local position out of Bessemer, Alabama. Ideally, you live within 25, 30 miles of Bessemer for that position, just because, to avoid too much drive time on your home time. In most cases, if we're hiring out of certain locations, then we're assuming you're bringing the truck home with you on your home time. Montana's a little bit different, a very big state where most of the freight's running along I-90. So those of you who live in the Great Falls area or Shelby area and you're still wanting to run for Decker, it's most definitely doable. Same with Hamilton area in Montana. It's definitely doable, but you're going to be leaving the tractor and trailer in Missoula on your home time. Other than that, in most cases that where we hire, we expect you to bring the truck home with you on your home time or make arrangements for parking when you're at home. So if you live in a subdivision that doesn't allow tractor and trailer, then you're going to need to make sure that you have a secured spot to park the truck while on your home time. So that's taken care of and you don't have to worry about it. But we leave it up to you. You're going to know the area a lot better than we are from over here on what's available, and maybe you have somewhere or some land that you'll be able to park it at with some peace of mind. Anything that I'm missing, Anna, for kind of going over some of these policies, some of the procedures for getting from orientation. Again, as a reminder, we are moving or transitioning from like full on in orientation, in on-site orientation to some ahead of time. So you'll have a couple of hours of orientation classwork, I should say, before you even come to orientation itself. And those couple of hours that you're able to do those e-nuggets through our Illuma training is going to make it so much faster for you and probably cut off a day or so altogether from orientation. So get you moving a little bit faster. So any questions whatsoever, as always, the 888-668-0698 telephone number is the one to get a hold of us on, and we can answer your questions that way. Always apply online, drivedecker.com, fill out the application right there, and ask the questions. We do, if you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, I highly suggest you do so. There are some really helpful videos on there. I've got Tanner toting around on a couple of them, and I've got Liam doing chaining, so you guys know how to chain. Speaking of chaining, since this is a topic that's brought up often this time of year, if you are chaining, we leave that up to you. You have to have chains on the truck. We provide them, put them on there. You have to have chains on the truck up until May, the end of May of this year. And if you don't know how to chain, watch the chaining video or talk to somebody in the Missoula terminal or maybe even somebody in Fort Dodge to learn how to chain before you get back out on the road. Whether or not you are chaining, though, I'm trying to see how many times I can say chain without messing up. Too late. But if you do choose to chain, that's your choice. We ask that you don't put yourself into a safety issue. So if you're chaining to get yourself out of trouble. We don't want you putting chains on and getting yourself into trouble. They're designed to get you out of there. But yeah, so that's my 2 cents on that. I just want to make sure that you're well aware of that. Please be safe, make the safe decision. Winter driving tips, by the way, we've got some videos on winter driving tips because it is that time of year. I look out my window and you can see a lot of white reflecting over here from the snow. Whether you guys have it or not, we definitely have it. Snow and ice. So just be safe and take your time. Give yourself a little bit extra time to get to a location so that you're not rushing. You're giving yourself more following distance between other vehicles, and you're taking your time walking across the parking lot. Sounds silly, but it's super true. I know when I'm walking to a vehicle, walking outside, whatever, I want to make sure that I am kind of scooting my feet instead of my regular quick strides because I don't want to fall on my backside and hurt myself. That'll happen. So please be safe coming out of the truck. They can be pretty slick. You want to make sure that you're giving, you've got the 3-point connection there coming down and going up on the truck. Just stay safe, you guys. And Tyson gave us some great suggestions on the rubbing alcohol, making sure that you've got a bottle of rubbing alcohol, spray bottle of rubbing alcohol available to unfreeze frozen brakes or unlock your door so that you can actually put the key into the door. Windshields. Up here, windshields are the thing. It kills me because everybody's windshield wipers are sticking straight out and people are wondering, why the heck do you do that? Well, if you live here, you know that your windshield wipers will last a whole lot longer if you keep them off your windshield when you're parked. That being said, a little bit of rubbing alcohol will do the trick as well. And it doesn't damage paint, it doesn't damage the windshield wipers, so they still have the longevity that they would normally. Can't get out of your door, odds are it's frozen. Speaking of frozen, if you have been driving all night and then you go to park, a night, day, whatever it is, then you go to park, give yourself a couple of minutes to let the tires cool down, and once they do, pull ahead or go back just a couple of feet. Make sure you've got enough room to do so in order to keep yourself out of a rut. Kitty litter is pretty darn handy to have in the truck to get yourself out of a hole or a snowbank or whatever it might be, or stop skidding so you're not stuck. But if you are well aware that if you give yourself a little bit of a foot or two once you park, those tires are warm when you park. Give them a couple minutes to cool down and then you can adjust so you're not really stuck the next day after you come off your 10-hour break. Cool? All right, you guys, like I said before, if you have any questions, please reach out to the recruiting department. That's what we're here for, to answer your questions. It's 888-668-0698. And we hope to see you, hope to talk to you soon. Let's see, the Thursday, we have a new podcast coming out. This last Thursday was Gary Northrup. Gary Northrup, which is always funny to me. I think it's Dean Sosek that always reminds me that Gary has not only been the driver manager or dispatcher of the year, he has also gained the title of driver of the year for Iowa. So he's a good one to have around. He was our podcast interviewee last week. So if you missed it, please go check us out on our podcast. It's Inside the Triangle. It's our Decker Truckline podcast, and you can get to hear a little bit from Darren and Gary as they reflect back on Decker in the last many years for Gary. Hi James, you're welcome. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate you being here. So like I said, if you guys have any questions, you just reach out to us and let us know. We'll be here. Next orientation for us is on December 28th. Which is right after Christmas, so you'll be probably traveling Saturday and Sunday for the Monday orientation if that's when you're looking to get started. Of course, we can start off the new year as well for you if you're waiting to start after New Year's. So we can always get you going then too. I think, what is that, the 4th? I don't have my calendar handy, but yeah, I think that's the 4th. But either way, hope to talk to you guys soon. Please stay safe. Stay safe not only on the road, but also with this pandemic that's going on. Make sure that you guys are doing your social distancing so you can keep you healthy, wealthy, wise, all of the above. Howard says he's going to make a snow angel. I'd make you one, but it's too cold for me. And I'm a wuss. I want a picture, by the way. Tim, you made it. Hello, hello. He says, just for July, look out at snow. The snow is coming for you. Oh, no. It always is. Usually, not so much in July, but June. I love my Montana. But you know what? I'm still going to whine about cold because I'm a wuss. All right. Make sure you know how to run those bunk heaters, you guys, and make sure your APU unit's working well. If at all you're having problems, please reach out to us and get with the shop or whatever. Who was telling me yesterday they were actually in getting the bunk heater taken care of. So yeah, we want to make sure that you guys are comfortable out on the road. That's why our truck has as many amenities as they do. We want you to be comfortable. We know that the sacrifices you guys are making, being away from family and friends, especially during the holidays. So we don't want to ignore the fact that you are making those sacrifices, but we do want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to support you from behind the scenes, and not only making sure that you have all those fun amenities in the truck, but also that you've got the dispatcher and the load planners and the payroll and everybody there available to answer questions for you when you need them instead of chasing around. Speaking of, if you have a question for, if it's your fleet manager or if it's Darren or Jason or myself or whoever it is that you're calling to get answers from to your questions or just wanting to share that information, please make sure that you leave a voicemail, because if we don't get a voicemail from you, we're going to assume that either somebody else helped you or we flat out didn't know that you called. If I'm on the other line, sometimes I can see people that are calling in, but I'm assuming that if you don't leave a voicemail, that whatever that issue or whatever the reason you are calling was already taken care of. So please make sure that you leave a voicemail. We don't want to overlook any of the concerns that you have, and we want to make sure that we can take care of things in a timely manner. So cool. Awesome. James says, do you think that Decker will ever pay for the actual miles driven, address to address? With household good miles, I am losing 8 to 10,000 miles a year, typically 8 to 10% of the miles that I drive. It is it is right around that 8% for the zip code to zip code, which we pay, which is pretty common. I don't foresee it changing, only because that's what, I don't foresee it changing in the over the road. And this is complete, this is me stating this because I don't know beyond my little head here, but I don't foresee it because our customers pay the zip code to zip code. And so in order to have the balance between what is coming in and what is going out and to be able to calculate it accurately, I think that we have to pretty much stay with the same pay rate that our customers are. That being said, when it comes to some of those shorter runs, the more regional, more dedicated style, then maybe, that could change, I don't know, but I know with the over the road, that's how the customers are doing it, and so they're paying, they pay based off of that. And you can see that the rates obviously are higher for those shorter runs than they are for the longer length of haul on a mile per mile basis. And that's why in some of the Midwest divisions we can offer a higher rate of pay than we can in some of the outlying areas or the over the road areas. Howard says, can I get a hot tub? Not in the truck. I want one of those too. James says, or not paid for. Over a course of the year, that is particularly 1 month of driving without pay. Yeah, I do admit that it can add up, especially for our 1 million mile runners, 2, 3, 4 million mile runners, most definitely. And that's just, I don't know, personally, I don't know a solution to it because it's based off of how the customer pays. But it is a very good question, and it is definitely something that is discussed, and it actually was discussed last week. I brought it up last week in a conversation we had. Tim says, well, back to work for me. Give me a call when you get a free time. You betcha. You bet, Tim. All right, so if I answered all you guys' questions, I will let you go. If I didn't, I'll hold out for a minute or two to make sure that all your questions were answered and taken care of. Otherwise, remember, you can give us a call at 888-668-0698. And you know what? If you leave a comment on the video, or if you leave a comment in the chat or whatever, I'll respond to that as well if you're watching the replay. Otherwise, but if you're with me now, it's live. It'll say that on the replay too. We're here every Tuesday at noon Central. So make sure that you join us next Tuesday for the discussion then. And of course, on our Facebook channel, we're there every Monday at 4 p.m. Central. I have to think. Got to look in my thinking area up there. Every Monday at 4 p.m. Central for our Facebook Live, our Q&A that we do there each week. Also, speaking of this coming, so Thursday on New Year's Eve, we have our final drawing for our referral program for the year. Every quarter we have a referral drawing, which is in addition to all the other incentives that we have, because we have our pay. You get paid $1,500 per driver within the first 90 days that they're here, and then you get an extra $500 if you've referred 3 or 4 drivers for the year. Or 4 or 5 drivers for the year. If you've referred over 6 drivers for the year, it's going to be an extra $1,000. So it's $2,500 per driver, all paid within 90 days. But remember, that's the referral program for this year. You still have time to get some referrals in. So if you have questions, check out our website, drivedecker.com/driver-referral, and see where you're at. Lots of bonuses. The drawing on the 31st is the quarterly bonus, or the quarterly drawing, which pays out the pays out either $700, that's what it is. My goodness gracious. $700, a laptop or a tablet, your choice of one of the 3. Yeah. All right. Howard says, I'm sitting in the parking lot for my 34-hour reset. So he's chilling, relaxing. That's why you want the hot tub. That sounds wonderful. In Idaho even. Anna says, sign-on bonus, smart drive, scorecard, holiday bonus. Holiday bonus for those of you staying out on Christmas or New Year's. Then you get an extra $100 in addition to whatever you made. So that's the Christmas. We did it for Thanksgiving as well. But that's the holiday pay for this year. So referral bonus, plus we have the sign-on bonus that she mentioned. She did mention it, but let me explain that because I didn't talk about that. That's the quarterly accelerated sign-on bonus. It's different. I know we change sign-on bonuses every now and then. Right now it's $5,000. It pays out quarterly for the first year, of course, and it's $1,250 each quarter. You do need to meet the requirements for the guaranteed pay or the minimum pay qualifications at least 70% of the time for that quarter in order to get that $1,250. So very doable. Actually, there's no reason why you shouldn't get it. So $1,250 each quarter. Now that being said, it's not only a quarterly bonus, but it's the accelerator bonus. So for in the refrigerated or the van division, for every mile over 25,000 for that quarter, you're going to get an extra 5 cents for those miles. For flatbed, it's an extra 5 cents for anything over 20,000 miles for that quarter. So yes, definitely extra earnings to get. And again, that's for the first year, and that's the quarterly, quarterly accelerated sign-on bonus. It's a hard one for me to say, but it's there. So, all right, looks like I answered the questions. You guys have an awesome rest of your day. I will talk to you next week. And in the meantime, please stay safe and stay warm. And reach out to us if you have any questions. 888-668-0698. All right, be good.